Everybody, it's Rebecca here at Y Mermaids, and today is New Year's Day, and it is my 2-year anniversary on BookTube, which is pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I'm proud of it. I know this year was a little bit kind of rough, I think, for lack of a better word. I wasn't as consistent with videos, and I had a lot of creative kind of blocks, I guess you could say, when it came to making BookTube videos. And this year was just very rough for me, and I didn't make as many videos as I did last year, or you know, I wanted to do, but things just got in the way, life got in the way, and again, my creativity was kind of blocked there for some time. So hopefully I'll be back this year in 2017 with more consistency with videos and actually posting them, as opposed to going like a month or longer without posting them. And that, I'm sorry about that, it happened. I wish that I had a better reason and a better excuse, but I don't, and so here we go. Sorry about that. But I wanted to take this time to reflect on last year and last year's goals. So 1 year ago today, I posted a video about my goals for 2016 for reading, and I kind of wanted to look back at those and see how I did, and then talk about my goals moving forward. So let's look at those first. I want to read 100 books. I did not meet this goal. I read 75 books this year, which is still a phenomenal amount of books. Like I'm like, wow, I can't believe I read that many books in 1 year. Like that's a lot. And it's not as much as I read last year. Last year I read 81, this year was 75, so it's not as much. But like I said, life got really busy this year, and a lot of things just didn't, you know, priorities had to change a little bit. So I didn't read as much, but what I did read, I'm really happy with the majority of what I did read. So I'm proud of it, and while it's not 100 books, and I'm not one of those people who can read 100, 200 books in a year, 75 books is more than anybody else that I know in real life. So I am, especially since I'm a teacher, like there's just no time. And so the fact that I read that many, I'm super proud of it, and I love it, and oh well, I didn't meet 100, it doesn't matter. I like to read at least 40 or so of my unread books. I also failed at this one. I don't even know how many I read. I didn't really keep track of it as good as I should have done, but I know, looking at my bookshelf, I did not read half of my unread books. I read a lot of library books, I read a lot of new books. I didn't read a lot of books that were currently already on my shelf, which is a problem. I'm working on it. But you know what? I read what I want to read when I want to read it. And part of that was just, I did some challenges and stuff this year that it didn't really allow me to. Like I had to read specific books for specific things, and I took on this year a lot more review and arcs and things like that, and so I felt like I was constantly reading for other people as opposed to just like reading the books on my shelf. I was reading the books that like I had to read. Read 5 before I buy. I think I failed at this one too, or I would like read 5 and then buy like 6. So I'm just gonna count it as a failure. I like to read 1 book each month by an author who is not American. Now I'm gonna count this as a win. I did read 65% of the books that I read were from American authors, but that means that 35% were not. And I did try to think about that when I was reading. I read from different places. I read from Japan, I read from Ghana, I read from Scotland and Wales and Australia, so I did try to read from authors of varying countries. Did I succeed in the way that I wanted to originally a year ago? No. But I still think that I did a fairly decent job at it, and I want to work on that in the future as well. I would like to finish reading or catch up on reading all the series that I've started and intend on finishing. I'm also gonna count this one as a failure, but I did finish or catch up on 9 series this year, which is pretty good considering I've started and I'm in the middle of a million series, so the fact that I finished / caught up on 9, I'm pretty happy with that. I like to read around the world. I'm gonna count this one as a win. I have a graphic, I'll put somewhere up, where it shows you all the different places that my reading took me this year, even if I just traveled there for like a day in the book's world or whatever, I was there. Ish. I wish that I'd gotten to see more of the places some of these books went to, but I did count it as me traveling there through the book. And this also obviously does not include fantasy, because fantasy happens in worlds that are not our own. I'm going to sort of do the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge for 2016 as well, and I did roughly do the Pop Sugar Challenge. I read 24 of the like 42 books that were on their list, so not too terrible, a little over half, so that's pretty good. I did about what I thought I was gonna do, and so I'm gonna count that one as a win. Write reviews for all the books that I read. I was being really optimistic when I said I would write a review for every book that I read. I did this really well in the beginning of the year, and then it totally just failed 100%, and I haven't written a review in months. That's just pretty much the state of 2016 right there for me, if you think about it. So, oh well, I do want to get back into it, writing reviews. I'm not gonna promise every book that I read will have a review, but I at least want some of them, as opposed to none. I'd like to finish at least one of my mini novels that I've started. I didn't do that, but I did start another one because of Nano. And I got really far, and my goal this year is to finish it and to send it out and stuff, and I'm really excited about it. So that one's gonna happen this year. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'd like to film at least one video review per month, and I was actually doing really well with this one for when I was making videos. When I didn't make videos, obviously I didn't post reviews, but when I was consistently making videos, I actually did a really good job with this one, so I'm gonna count it as a win, even though if you look at my channel, there's not 12 review videos for the year, but there's a decent amount, and I'm pretty happy with the ones that I did, so I'll leave a link to all of them below. I'm gonna count it as a win because, like I said, I had some troubles with BookTube this year anyway and reading, and so the fact that I posted like a bunch of them in the beginning, I'm giving myself a high five for it. I did make a total of 72 videos this year, so despite the fact that I took a major slump, it's still a good amount of videos that I made. I experimented more with vlogging, which I really loved, and I want to do more of that in the future as well. And I did a lot of book hauls and wrap-ups and recommendation videos for a while because that's all that my creative juices, my creative flow would allow me to do. So that's kind of why that happened. I don't know what's going to happen on the channel in 2017, but I am shooting to make at least one video a week. I'm not going to promise you this because we saw what happened last year, but I do want to get back into it. I miss BookTube when I'm not on it, and so I do aim to be back. Now this month always is really packed because I have all of the year-end wrap-ups and the wrap-ups from the last months and things like that. But going forward, it gets tough for me because I start running out of ideas and time very soon. So if you have ideas for what you'd like to see, let me know, book related or non-book related. I'm kind of making this a more open, not necessarily just BookTube channel anymore, because then it allows me to be a little bit more free with the kind of videos that I post. As for my goals for 2017, my reading goals, I have none. Zero. Zilch. Nada. So I decided that last year, you can see, I just talked about it, all the failures that I had, and I'm laughing about it because I'm taking my pain of failure and putting it into a shiny happy moment. No, but for real, I just found that like I forgot about half of these like 2 months in anyway, and I failed at almost all of them because I tend to be one of those people that just reads what I want to read when I want to read it, and when I set these like super intense goals, I find that I'm forcing myself to read a book that I don't necessarily want to read, as opposed to if I just picked it up on my own for fun, I would love it. So I'm not setting any goals. My Goodreads goal, I am taking a page out of Between Chapters book. Last year she only set a Goodreads goal of 1 book, and so I'm doing that this year. I'm only setting my goal for 1 book, which I know I will meet. Obviously, I've already started like 3 books for this year. I will meet it very quickly and very easily, and then I don't have the stress of trying to read 100 books in 1 year. And if I read 6 books, then I've met it. If I read 100 books, then I've met it. If I read 1 book, I've met it. And I think that's really great, and it's really freeing, and then I can read whatever I want to read. I can read the big chunker books, or I can reread books, or I can read graphic novels. I can read whatever I want, and I'm not bogged down by this gigantic number that I feel like I have to hit. Because with 100 books, I was like, I'm not gonna read Name of the Wind, I'm not gonna read Little Women, I'm not gonna read any of these books that are really big because I don't have time to do it. So no official goals. I just don't want to. I want to read what I want to read. Now, I'm going to consciously think about things like I want to read more diversely. Obviously, we all do. I want to do more own voices. I want to read from more, different places around the world again this year. But again, I'm not going to be like setting myself up to fail. I'm just going to try to include that more in my reading, which I try to do anyway. I am one of those people that kind of just reads a wide variety of books anyway. If you look at the genre of books that I read last year, like it's all over the place. And that's what I really like. I don't like to get pigeonholed into one thing. And so I'm just gonna keep doing that, basically, is what I'm trying to say. As for my personal goals for 2017, I'm actually going to make a separate video about that, coming probably in the next week or two, so you can keep an eye out for that one. Happy 2-year anniversary to me on BookTube. Thanks for everybody who's been around, who, if you're brand new, if you've stuck around since the beginning, or somewhere in between, thank you so much for watching, and I promise that 2017, well, I'm not gonna promise, but 2017 will be much more active over here at Why Mermaids, and so I look forward to spending some more days with you on the internet. And let me know some of your goals, how you did on last year's goals, what are your goals for this year, and I guess that's it for me today. I'll see you next time.